Howdy there, folks. So, ATST update. As you can see, kinda here, it's progressing. Now, it's not progressing as fast or as easily as I would have liked. So, normally, as Kirsty knows from her numerous talks with me and the like, and Tony and others, I airbrush my base layer. Normally for stuff like this, it's airbrushed with a black, which happens to be a super cheap auto black gloss acrylic that I decant normally. Did that yesterday. Not only did it not decant properly, it splattered something shocking, unlike how it normally does. It didn't go down properly as I was spraying it. It's clogged the shit out of my airbrush, my gravity feed airbrush, to the point that I'm going to have to do a complete strip down of it at some point again. And I was on this piece, so I had only just started and we're on this piece. And you can kind of see, I managed to get most of it, but there was this real bad scaling happening. You can kind of see some of it still coming through here, and the like. And I managed to clean up most of it by rapidly, literally taking this, dumping it in warm water, and running my handle on the edge to get the scaling off. But it meant I had two options at that point. I could find something that would let me remove the acrylic, which wasn't acting quite like an acrylic anymore. It was no longer water soluble off a brush. It's like the heat that we've had here has changed its chemical properties, or I could just try and run with it and do something else. So what I did was I used some of it in a brush to finish off painting a lot of this. Put down basically a black base coat across most of it. I missed a section down here, and you can kind of see that if I can get the angle right. We have a transition, a shade transition just where my little finger is here. But other than that, I then went and grabbed my Ruin Fang Silver, which I have I have that worth of. And then we did basically a dry brush technique like this all over this to get thing. It's the opposite of how a lot of people do it. You'd normally do your primer, then your main coat, then you'd come over and do a lot of this stuff. This thing's getting painted basically in the order that it would be material wise. So we've got now a metal. I'll be putting a grey coat over the top of that, and then probably some more silver and the like. This I've recovered somewhat. It needs some more work. We can see areas that still haven't been done, in part because you run into the problem that when it's wet, you don't want you don't want your fingerprints and the like getting on it. Couple of bits where things pulled a little bit too much, but that's part of why I prefer to use an airbrush, but that's not an option this time round. And then we've got all of these parts down here at the moment, which are obviously the legs and the like. These aren't completely finished, like the gun here is still needing to be painted on the other side, but I'm trying to let it dry properly. This piece needs to be painted on that side. Don't know if I actually had that in camera then. So this needs to be painted on this side. Top of this leg piece needs to be painted properly around here. The main blaster section, I've still got this side that needs to be painted. But other than that, most of this has the base coats down. The leg I'm actually going to put together with the base coat like this to do the silver coat and the like, in part because it's just easier that way. it's just got a lot of finicky little bits, but because a lot of it's dry brushing, not too bad. But I figured I'd just give an update on where this is at with some actual images and the like. Overall, this is a really good kit. For Americans, I think it's like 40-50 bucks, but it's a really good mini. For Australians, it's an $80 mini, and to basically have it out, have done the cleanup, go to spray prime it with an airbrush, and everything go wrong, you start getting a little worried, because pension and the like, that's 80 bucks. That's a big investment, especially for a miniature. Though I have to admit, it's not the most expensive miniature or model that I have brought. The F18 is sitting at Mum and Dad's place, which has had some accidents due to the heat, would be the most expensive, and then good old Dragon up over there would be another one, and we won't get into the Gundam. But anyway, just a quick update. I'll talk to you guys all later.